What is up, everybody? It is Lawrence again. I am so sorry today for the lighting. The batteries for both my lights actually went out, and so I can't really illuminate my face. I'll be ordering some new things from Amazon, so if you actually have any suggestions for LEDs, hit that in the comments below. So there is a little background on this colorway. This is a 2015 release of the Nike Air Presto called the Brutal Honey, and so to play with that theme, you have a honey-colored insole and a little guy over there that's a bee. That's probably the Brutal Honey. And this is a remake of that with the Nike Air Presto React. But without further ado, today we have the Air Presto React done in the Brutal Honey colorway. So let's start with upper like we always do. Much like any other Air Presto in the world, it is going to be based on a neoprene upper, and this is a nice, flexible, breathable-ish neoprene upper. It actually looks really similar to the Nike Presto in general. What I think it is a little different is I feel like it's a little wider than usual, and that's probably to do with the midsole, but it's not as sleek to me, and there's something about the slope that just doesn't do it for me as much as the regular Presto, but it's still a neoprene upper. You obviously have the cage, which looks very different than your traditional Presto cage. Normally, it's kind of like wavy lines that go up. This is a little more condensed. It has two little holes instead, and honestly I don't really love the aesthetic of this type of cage. I would actually prefer if it were a little more translucent, but it's not. On the lateral side you have a black Nike swoosh, and then on the medial side you have an embossed or debossed Presto. Moving up the sneaker, you have the lacing system over here. So there's normal laces on the cage. What is kind of interesting is that all the laces kind of culminate, let me unlace this for a little bit, onto the top over here in this triangular yellow pad that you can see over there. And as you can see, it kind of like flares out like this, which I think is a little weird. It's kind of like a bug antenna, but it's not the worst thing in the world. Then on the back side, you have the suede piece over here. It's actually not suede, I'd say it's a felt-like material, which I typically don't like on Nikes, but this is actually put in a place where it's just aesthetically there, and I don't feel it is as cheap as some of the other felt-like materials that Nike uses. And then you have a 3M pull tab over here, another little piece of felt at the very top. What is interesting is instead of putting the 5 dots over here, which is normally on the midsole, they put it back here. For those of you who do not know, those 5 dots stand for the Nike Alpha Project. The Alpha Project was a way to introduce innovative technologies. I don't remember which time period that was, but it was a time period where Nike was doing a lot of experiments, and this the Nike Presto was actually introduced during that time period to be a t-shirt-like shoe. It was actually only released in small, medium, large type sizes instead of the typical nomenclature, which is usually done with numbers. Going over to the midsole, you have a really thick piece of React here. And to really kind of hit home the point, look at how small the React Element 87 is. See that difference in cushioning? There's probably like at least a quarter of an inch more React than your Element 87. The Element 87s already feel pretty good. These actually feel a little more stable to me. It could be the cage in the upper and kind of the neoprene, but it feels really great, and you can definitely feel the bounciness a little bit more. There's also a lot more in the forefoot, and I like that feeling on the forefoot a lot as well. So for the price of this, which is only $120, I actually think it's a really great shoe. Some more interesting things about the midsole. There is a hard plastic over here. I assume that's for stability purposes. On the bottom, you have traction pads done in a white that really kind of blends in with the React. And then you also have a clear bit of React over here. Grooves over here are much thicker. You also have really kind of like more grippy rubber pods over here, which I think is a good thing. One of the things about the Element 87 is that it is a little slippery. So I think they really improved on the sole here with more React as well as better traction. Alright guys, so what are my thoughts on this shoe? This is a great value at $120. The neoprene upper is, I would say it's the most breathable, but it's definitely a really comfortable upper. I definitely recommend this Nike Air Presto over the Element 55 as well as 87. If any of you guys want to see an actual comparison video between the two, let me know and put that comment in the links below. Aesthetically, I definitely think the Element 87 still looks better to me, and Element 55 actually looks better to me too. There's something about this shoe that's a little clunkier, and the elements are a little sleeker, but it's still a really, really comfortable shoe. And if you're buying it just for looks, I actually rather have the regular Presto, but for comfort, this is actually better than both the Air Presto as well as the Elements series on 55 and 87. The cushioning is one of the best cushionings I've felt in a long while, outside of the Pegasus 35 Turbo, which has ZoomX as well as React. This comes in really, really close second. There's something about the shoe that really is comfortable. It's really stable as well. Aesthetically, there's two things that I don't like about the shoe. The first thing are the cages. I think they would have done a much better job with the design of the shoe if they would have used translucent cages instead of cages that are not transparent. From a sizing perspective, go with your true to size. To put this in perspective, my Air Max 1 size is 7.5, my Air Jordan 1 size is a 7.5, and in the Prestos, I'm also 7.5 for the React. So it should be relatively easy. If you want a little more space, you can go a half size up if you have really wide feet. My feet do spill over a little bit if you looked at the on feet. And that's it, guys. This is the Nike Air Presto React. Until next time, peace.